Excuse me.
All right. All right. I already did a mini thing about this. I'm going to explain it a little more in depth now, because for some reason I do this thing sometimes where I just start talking really quietly to the front and the people that are listening, and then I just start writing stuff, and then
they're kind of like low-key lost.
yeah, I know, but they don't want to say anything because they know they're lost because they weren't paying attention, and then they try to catch up. It's actually pretty funny. I won't do it to you guys yet because I'm not quite at the end of my rope, but it's coming soon. It's kind of like, in cartoons when the dog is running after Foghorn Leghorn, and Foghorn Leghorn can see the line that he's painted on the ground, and he knows once he crosses that line, the dog's going to get lynched, and he knows he's safe. And then the dog gets lynched, and his tongue hanging out, and Foghorn Leghorn grabs his tongue and paints it green. That is Looney Tunes. Foghorn Leghorn, the big rooster.
Yeah, okay.
Boy, I say
okay.
Boy.
I just didn't know if they had names.
You don't know their names?
No.
Sylvester the cat, Tweety Bird, Foghorn Leghorn. The dog doesn't have a name, he's just the dog.
Do you know? Yeah, I know every episode of SpongeBob.
That explains so much.
Like every episode. If you showed a clip, I can tell you exactly what episode that was.
That's too bad, because there's plenty of research linking SpongeBob to a lack of intelligence. You seem too smart for that, Max. Actually, it's not. It's actually a correlation, and correlations, of course, do not prove causation. So, the angle of elevation is, first and foremost, it is an angle. And you can't have an angle unless you have two rays. One ray goes out there. The second ray makes the angle. Now, how you make these angles depends on where your eye is. So I'm going to draw a nice eye right here. I don't know why I choose blue eyes. I'm not being eye-ist. What? It's the eye. It's an eye. Because this is where you determine where an angle of elevation is. Your eye looks out horizontally. If you then raise your eye to look at something else, for example, a pretty birdie or two flying in the sky, then you have raised your eye, and therefore you have made an angle of elevation or an angle of inclination. They are the same thing. Right now, you can't do any trig yet because you don't have a triangle. However, once you do that, you make a triangle, and now you can perform trigonometric calculations. Trigonometric calculations. The point I'm trying to make is the angle exists between where your eye started and where your eye ended. Now, everybody understands the angle of elevation. It is very easy to fathom. It is easy to get. You look straight forward, hi Tavleen, then you notice there's something crawling on the wall up there, and you look up. And you move your eyes up, and that creates two rays, which gives you an angle, right where my face is, angle of elevation, because I started level and I went up. Nobody has any problem with that, which means nobody should have any problem with an angle of depression, and yet every single person does. If the angle of elevation goes from where my eye started to where my eye ended, where do you think an angle of depression goes from? where your eye starts to where your eye ends. So if my eye starts up here and looks down there, where is the angle of depression? Is it A or B? Where is it? You got a 50-50 shot if you can't figure this out. But of course, I gave you a big hint in the sentence I just said before, when I reminded you how you find an angle of elevation. It's the first day of this. You're allowed to be wrong. Is it an A or B, Tavleen? Well, no. The eye is just a spot. To make an angle, you need to have two lines. Duncan. It is, Duncan says it is an A. How many people have that vote? Okay. How many people have the vote for B? Okay, I'm going to say what I said before. The angle of elevation exists between where your eye starts and where your eye finishes. So where is your angle of depression? B. Where your eye starts to where your eye finishes. Duncan, thank you for having the guts to guess. But also know this. Everybody says it's at A, even though I do that whole thing. It is here. This is my angle of depression. Right here. Because my eye starts horizontally and then looks down. Now, here is the next problem. What if I complete this as a rectangle, and here is one eye on top of a building looking down at some super handsome dude down here? That super handsome dude sees this guy checking him out up here, and what does this super handsome dude do? Looks up to create what? An angle of elevation, which is where? Between what and what? This is an angle of depression, right? Okay, where's the angle of elevation? Between the red and the hypotenuse, yes? There is the angle of elevation. What do you know about those two angles? They're the same. Okay? Now, the problem with that is a great many of you will then think, because you have not been paying attention, that this angle here, for some reason, is the same as this or this. And I don't know where that comes from. Well, I do know where that comes from. It comes from people not paying attention. An angle of depression. Oops. An angle of depression and an angle of elevation in vertically opposite triangles are going to be the same. However, they are not the same in the same triangle, unless you have a 45 degree, right? Gesundheit. Did we talk about sneezes and farts in this class? For some reason, have you understood this? Have you ever thought about this for a moment? When you sneeze, what happens? You sneeze. But what actually happens? You spit everywhere. You spray snot everywhere. If you have a disease, if you're not just sneezing to get something out of your nose, if you have a disease, you spread disease everywhere. While we're at it, your heart technically stops for a millisecond so you can sneeze. It is the only thing that you cannot do without shutting your eyes because it is so violent. And what happens when someone sneezes? Someone sneezed there. What did we all do? We all quietly went, bless you, Gesundheit. We thought it in our heads, and we all thought, oh, that poor person's sneezing. Right? Now, what happens when you fart? You make a fun sound, because don't say it's not fun. It doesn't hurt anyone. You cannot spread disease. And yet, when someone farts, everyone's like, oh my God, you're such a pig, get out of here, I hate you. Right? When you sneeze, you can spread malaria. When you fart, everybody has a good giggle. But farts, go away, I want a divorce. Sneezes, oh, you're okay. Huh? It's not right, I tell you. I think about this often. Things like this. Because it isn't fair. That was my goal. I did not feel like answering a question. Okay, seriously though. What do you got? Okay.
This part of the student question, but all these like sine, cosine, and tangent, these only work for like right angle triangles. Right?
So far as you know.
Alright.
Oh no.
Next Monday you will learn that no, indeed, they do not only work for right angle triangles. But for now, yes, they only work for right angle triangles. You gave me away. It's like a teaser trailer. It's like in Star Wars when they showed the lightsaber in the commercial, and that was it. And you were all like, oh. At least I was. Most of you were probably like, oh, a new Star Wars movie. My grandpa will think that's awesome. But that's only because you're lame. Because Star Wars is awesome. So, and if you're not waiting with bated breath for the next Star Wars movie in early December this year, I'm already sharpening my pencil to give you an F in Math 10. I'm not really. I'm just kidding. You will not, you don't have to worry about getting a bad grade if you don't like Star Wars in this class. Because I respect you very much for your opinions if you don't like Star Wars and think it's the greatest thing ever committed to film.
Why are you shaking your head?
I don't know what you're talking about, Max. You aren't paying a very close attention to me. All right. But seriously, folks, let's do math. All right. Now, this is where we get the thing that I was talking about a couple of days ago. A lot of kids tell me, Mr. Myers, I can't do trig. And they say I need help. And I walk back to their desk, and they say, what do I do here? And they are looking at a blank piece of paper. What is the first three letters in the word trigonometry? Try. What does every single trigonometry question we have done so far this year need? A triangle. Do you think that is coincidence? No, indeed it is not. Every trig question needs a triangle. So if you are in doubt of how to start, what should you do? Draw a triangle. Ike is standing on a soccer field looking at the roof of a school. Okay? If you're standing on a field and looking at a roof, where have your eyes gone? Up. So you start horizontal, your eyes go up, and then you make that triangle so you can do your math. Does it matter how you draw the triangle? No, not even a little bit. Because you are only using the triangle as what? A guide to do the trig. An angle of elevation of 30. Where is the angle of elevation? At A or B? A, because Ike starts on the ground and looks upward. There is 30 degrees. Ike is 42 meters away from the school. There are three sides. You have the number of one of those sides. Which side is it?
The adjacent.
The horizontal one, because that is where 42 meters away from the school would be. I want to know the height of the school. Where is the height? Right there. And now you just do trig. What do you know? You have a theta of what? 30. You have a what? An adjacent of what? 42. And you have an opposite of x. What uses O and A? Tan. Tan theta, tan 30 equals O x over A, 42. 42 tan 30 will give me x. I'm not writing it down because I don't have a calculator out, and doing the stupid calculator on here is a pain. But that's what you would punch in, unless you have a backwards calculator, and then that is your job. Of course, you would punch in 42 times 30 tan equals. And you would get what? 24.2? Okay. That's trig. That is almost the very, very end of what you need to know for trig. I'm going to be quiet for a moment because I'm going to let that sink in for a second. That is it. Trig is one of those words that scares everyone until you realize it's one calculation with one triangle. If you have a triangle and you have a calculator, you can do trig. That's it. I would like to remind you of one other thing, though. No, you know what? We'll do that later. Let's carry on. Number 10. Oh, a trig word problem. What must I have? A triangle. Abby's flying in an airplane at 2,500 feet. Where do airplanes fly? In the sky.
Oh.
Right? Where is that plane? 2,500 feet in the air. How far away, horizontally, is Mission if Abby sees the town below her at an angle of depression of 15? Angle of depression. Where is the town of Mission? Is it floating in the air where her plane will land up there? It is if we're in the Jetsons, but we aren't. We are on Earth. So Mission is way down here on the ground. Does that make a triangle? It does. But now we're in trouble because I have been given what? An angle of depression. Have I drawn an angle of depression here? No, I have not. Why? Because I drew this triangle. What if I drew this red triangle? Now do I have an angle of depression? Where is it?
The red.
It's up here in the red triangle. That's my theta. But here's the thing. The angle of depression for Abby looking down must be the same as the angle of what? Elevation for someone in Mission looking up at the plane, like we all do. No matter how old you are, every time a plane flies over, we all do it. Don't say you don't. That would be lame if you didn't look up, because you look up and you think automatically you wish you were in that plane, no matter what. Yes, you do. Whatever. It's pouring rain outside. You see a plane flying south, and you're like, oh, I'm so glad I'm here in the pouring rain, and those people are flying to Hawaii. Please. When I look up at every plane, I want to be in the plane. Helicopter, plane, hot air balloon, doesn't matter. Why wouldn't you want to be in that instead of standing on the ground?
What if it crashes?
How did you get here? How did you get to the school today?
A car.
In what?
A car.
I'm sorry, pardon me?
A car.
A car. Interesting. Should we go on the internet and find out how many car crashes there were yesterday? And then go on the internet and find out how many plane crashes there were yesterday.
Oh wait, so there's this one car.
Guess which wins. Definitely the car. What if it crashes? I don't know. Are you going to swim to Europe? Now, Max, what were you saying? Because you got steamrolled by my comedy. What were you saying? No, Sam. I want to hear it. Trust me. I mean, Max. Sorry, Max. Morning, Sam. Morning, Ralph. Also from Looney Tunes. The wolf and the sheepdog? Okay. They don't have names. Well, they do. Sam and Ralph.
Hey, go.
No,
Go.
I'm saying there's this one car crash and blocked like the whole junction.
Yes.
Like there's like a four-way like stop, and then there's like this one car in the middle. Nobody can go.
Wasn't a plane in the middle, though, was it? Okay. So those two thetas are the same, aren't they? Right?
Every day.
See, now I'll do this again. I'll just go back to this. So now I have this triangle with 2500 and the red theta. Or I have this black triangle with 2500 and the black theta. But, of course, you all are aware that they are the exact same triangle. And you are going to do the exact same calculation. You have a theta of 15. You have an opposite of 2,500. And you need an adjacent of x. So, of course, it is tan 15 equals opposite 2,500 over x. And x equals 2,500 divided by tan 15. Now, the question becomes this. Is the plane that far away from Mission? Of course it is not. That is how far away it is if the plane were on the ground. If the plane were actually to fly to Mission, it would have to fly down the hypotenuse and land safely. Right? Unless you're worried about it like Lauren. Then, of course, the plane will do this. Ah! And his wings fell off and everything. That's how bad it was. Do you know how bad I'm going to feel if the 1 in a million chance that one of the planes they're on at spring break does indeed crash? It won't. Planes don't crash. They don't. It is statistically the safest way to travel. You are much more likely to get run over crossing the street to school than you are to die in a plane crash. Okay, now listen. All joking aside, there's a reason I gave you those two questions first. Because here comes number 11. And number 11 is done so badly, it gives me a pain around here. Okay? So I'm going to shut up. You're going to talk to your neighbor, and you're going to attempt number 11 all by yourself without putting your hand up or asking me a single thing. Go. I would highly recommend working on half the page because everybody does this wrong. Now, that being said, I've just given you a big hint. So you're going to be looking very closely at what you start with because I just told you everybody does this wrong. So Go.
Alright, what do you do? And I always end up doing it, and you just copy me.
What an accusation, Maxwell.
That's what happens here.
I know I've asked. Is it Maxwell?
No!
Is it Maximilian?
No!
It's just Max?
Yes!
Okay. Can I call you Maximilian?
If you want.
No, that's not your name. That's not fair.
Everyone on my soccer team just calls me Maxie.
Ooh. Own it, though. That's what you gotta do.
They take my sick boys. It was like a cross. I jumped harder and it like rolled into the big. Anyways, so why do you have a line? A road rises 1 meter for every 19 meters.
Oh my god.
This is an easy question. Okay, so.
All right, ladies and gentle people. Yes? I'm just going to go ahead and draw a triangle. Oops. Okay. Here is my little car.
How are you gonna use that? That's a nice clothes. I'm gonna try.
There's my car. My car is driving along the road towards a hill.
That looks like a tractor.
That's a big hill. I'm going to drive up the road. How do I get to the top of the hill? Do I drive into the middle of the mountain and then straight up the elevator to the top? Or do I drive up the road? I drive up the road. The road rises 1 meter for every 19 meters measured along the road. So where, ladies and gentlemen, does the 19 go? Onto the hypotenuse. Because that is where the measurement happens, because that is where the car must drive. If the car drives 19 meters down the road, the car will be 1 meter taller, higher than it was when it started. Okay? Now, I am driving how far down the road? 300. So this is now 300 meters, isn't it? And this height is now what? What? 50.8. Why do you say that height? 15.8. Okay. Why is that height 15.8? Because 300 divided by 19 gets me that. Right? Because of similar triangles. 19 compares to 300 the way 1 compares to the height. Excellent. So now you know that your triangle is 315.8, yes? How do you figure out how far horizontally I traveled? Pythagoras. Or tan, or cos. If you knew this angle, how could you find that angle? You could shift sine. The point I'm trying to make is you had 5 ways to solve this question. The problem that most of you had, I am guessing, if you had a problem with it, was not in trig and Pythagoras. It was in setting it up. Read the question and think about real life. Okay? Math has been designed from the first time that cave people said, ugh, 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 ugh. Math has been designed to mimic and model real life. That's why it exists. Okay? So make sure you read questions correctly. Now we're back to not real life. We're back to a stupid math problem, aren't we?
Yeah.
But let's do that stupid math problem. Determine the area. How do I determine area? What's area of every rectangle? Length times width. Do I have either a length or a width? No. L, W. L, W. What do I need to do to find L and W? What do I have here? I have a triangle. And in that triangle, do I have 2 pieces of information? So does that mean I can find everything else about the triangle? Of course I can. Let's do so. Do I have a theta? What is it?
21.
Lovely. Do I have an hypotenuse?
12.
Yes, 12.7. I need an O, which we have labeled as W, and I need an A, which we have labeled as L. Easy to solve, yes? Now, I am going to respectfully give you a piece of advice. First of all, what are we going to find first? Does it matter? It does a little. There's one thing we cannot use right now. What? We cannot use tan. Why? We don't have an O or an A. We only have an H. So we are limited in our use right now to sine or cosine. Yes? Does it matter which one we use? Absolutely not. I'm going to use sine. Sine of 21 equals opposite W over 12.7. Yes? Now that would be 12.7 sine 21 would equal W, wouldn't it? Don't go to your calculator yet. I have a reason. When you go to your calculator, what are you opening yourself up to? Mistakes. How? Where do we make mistakes with our calculators? Wrong button punches. Wrong button punches. Wrong button punches. Problem 1. What happens? What do all of you do as soon as you hit equals on your calculator? You get an answer. What do you do immediately with that answer? You write it down. Do you write down the whole thing? What do you write down? You round it to something, don't you? What do you round it to, Ayessa? You round to the second decimal. What do you round it to, Lauren? Usually the second. Right? What if I round it to the 5th? Do you see what I am saying? Do you understand? So, this is why I am suggesting you not to go to your calculator yet, because this is the answer, isn't it? Okay? Don't go to your calculator. Now, cos 21 is L. over 12.7, yes? So 12.7 cos 21 equals L, yes? What's the area? L times W, isn't it? Is this W? Is this L? Can I multiply it through once and only use my calculator once, thereby avoiding possibilities of problems in both rounding and button pushing? That is what I would recommend. However, that takes practice. So, to do this, I would go 12.7 times sine 21, close brackets, times 12.7 times cos 21, brackets. And that will give you your best answer. Why? Because your calculator is going to keep all of those decimals for you. You will do no rounding until the very end. Now, listen to me and listen to me closely. Some of you are going to say, Mr. Myers, I'm not comfortable doing that way. I don't care. You don't have to. But bear in mind, as you go further and further and further, you are going to actually use your calculator less and less and less. And this is more what your professors and such are going to want to see. Because this shows an understanding of math. And this shows exact answers, not rounded decimals. Do you understand? So even if you choose not to use this method, which you are allowed to do, be aware that it can be helpful to think of it that way. Yes?
What is the best?
It gives you the best answer. Oops. Because there's no rounding in the middle of it. Okay? Everybody cool? Again, you do not have to do that. I'm going to stop. You are going to finish until page, it is not 68 in your book. It is till you get to the opposite sides of the mountain, which is number 20. What page is that for you? 65? You're going to work up to page 65. And of course, you are going to finish that page that you didn't finish, which was page 70, or the worksheet on solving triangles. Now, guys, listen to me, please. You will notice I have a whole bunch of work here. This is all SOHCAHTOA. You are at the end of SOHCAHTOA. You just need practice now. Okay? So today and tomorrow is those 8 questions in your book up to number 20. And this should be in your book as well. Is it? Son of a gun. You guys should have Oh, I'm the worst kind of liar. You don't, do you? You go straight from number 20 to a trigonometry review, yes? That must be because I trust you. Because in my regular 10 class, I do have that in their workbook. You probably don't need it. So I'm going to, this that is on your outline, you don't have. So don't worry about it. Just do up to 20 tonight. Okay? And tomorrow in class, we are going to do, hey, Mr. Abraham, we are going to start on this which is your page 66. It will be for marks. It will be in class tomorrow. Okay? Then we end the week at the end of SOHCAHTOA. Okay? We'll start the next bit of trig on Monday. You will write a SOHCAHTOA test sometime next week. Early. Okay? Go. Mr. Abraham, what can I do for you?
And D block.
D block. Math 10 regular. What do you need?
I need someone to go into my class. I won't be here, and just teach them how to add exponents.
Yeah, I won't be a
5,
problem.
10 minutes, and
Yep.
then come back. There's a sub would be in there. I forgot who was in there because they want to find someone to go into
Yeah,
my class.
yeah, it won't be a
And
problem.
then teach them how to
Multiply exponents.
Yeah,
you mean.
multiply exponents.
Yeah, yeah.
There's the rules of
Just
that one.
Just that long.
Yeah, that's
Just multiply.
Just multiply.
Okay.
That's no.
Yep.
I know. Like
And are they? What grade are they?
9.
Okay.
The 9.
Yeah, no problem.
And just
Yep, I'll do it.
multiply for me.
Yep, I'll do it.
All right, go.
Will there be you in class as well?
Yeah, I'd like it to be. We'll see. It just depends. I have numerous staplers. Well, not really numerous. I have 2. That is technically a number. So technically, it is numerous.
Okay, so what you do is you do all this, and this, and then
Okay.
time this, you do this.
I don't know. I cannot see the future. If I could see the
So-
future, I would already know the lottery numbers for Saturday, and I wouldn't be here Monday at all.
Data.
So can I take it Tuesday or Monday?
So we need
Possibly.
We need adjacent. We need adjacent. So it'll be capital. So we need